I'm Brian.
And I'm Reggie.
And this is randbtalks. It's like we just worked out and got swelled up and missed dishing.
Brian, you did like my general growling during the workout.
I did. I thought it was entertaining when you would like at the end where you're getting that last rep out, that guttural growl that you would let out. I was like, ooh, he's like a tiger.
Indeed. I'm a little more into that. You know, it's just so weird being lifting again than what I used to do. That's all. It's just freaking weird.
Like I told you today, the reason I didn't correct you a lot was you would get your first 2 reps would be sloppy because you hadn't done it in a while. And then all of a sudden it was like something would kick in and then Reggie just had it. And I was like, oh, sweet. Like I don't have to like stand behind him and be like, go, go, go. Right. Like he understands the function and form. One of the things I hate is when you get a workout partner that just wants to chew your ear off. And they do it in between sets and hold your rest time up and throw your timing off, and it's just too much.
Dude, I was mad at myself for the one time I was talking to Matt and it took me too long.
Oh, that's all right, man.
It was 4 minutes, and you should never have 4 minutes between the sets. Well, I shouldn't say never.
Well, never.
But
I would say at that point in the workout, we probably needed a little longer rest in between sets. Yeah. Because we were deep into we were in the seps at that point, and we had trashed the chest and triceps, and we were just finishing the job, and you left and I stayed and did core and did some cardio. And I didn't do my normal finisher because I pushed so heavy in chest that I wasn't going to try to just kill myself.
Yeah.
My normal finisher is I take, you know what a Bosu ball is?
I do.
I take a Bosu ball and flip it up on the rounded side, and I do plank push-ups. I do like 4 sets of 15 plank push-ups to kind of finish it off. But man, I went so hard at it with the incline press and the chest press, I didn't have it in me to do that finisher. But
this is kind of an interesting segue.
Okay.
Because
segue it up.
I've always been my whole family's big, as you already know. Whole family. My dad, my grandpa, my uncles.
I didn't tell you this. I ran into your brother last night.
Oh, how's my brother?
He's doing good. Just say.
Which one?
Robbie.
Oh yeah.
He was at the winter thing and doing the sound. It was cool.
Well, so anyway, we're all big guys. So when we were growing up, it was always big dudes that were idolized or are my heroes. I mean, pretty much all that. And it was speaking of working out and lifting and everything. One of the two I liked. I thought of Lou Ferrigno and Arnold Schwarzenegger, and towards the end of my lifting stuff was Ron Coleman.
Yeah,
you know, it was that kind of era when he was.
Dude, you talk about a genetic mutant.
Was a mountain.
Just a genetic mutant.
Yeah, and so now here I am getting back into actually going to the gym. Like I don't really have gym idols or anything like that, but we'll get into like the whole hero thing in a minute. But I do like look at certain physiques like Alan
Richardson.
Yes,
from Reacher.
That's a mutant physique.
Yeah, dude, he doesn't do. I've actually watched his workouts. He doesn't do workouts that you would think would produce that kind of mass. Like the workouts he does are super functional, but he doesn't and he eats mass quantities of food.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
fuel's important, man. Look, here's the thing about all this shit. Like we've had so many things turned upside down over the last 20, 30 years, dude.
Yeah.
About stuff. It's crazy. But so anyway, I just want to say this. When you're looking at guys and girls about your physiques and stuff, you really need to understand that genetics is involved. Not everyone can be an Alan Richardson. Not everyone can be big or anything. I mean, that's really all about genetics. Like you shouldn't push yourself to reach these heights when those are unattainable, maybe for you. Now it's fine to try, but don't make it where it's like, if you don't do it, it wrecks your life. You know what I mean?
My purpose when I'm in the gym is not to be like anybody else.
No, yeah.
My purpose when I'm in there is to be the best version of me.
But I guess going back to this is why my mindset's so much different now, though, because I don't really even care yes, I do care about my physique in some little way.
Well, you care about the health part of it, right?
Yeah. Like I'm really not worried about what I look like, what my arms look like or whatever. That's like an added bonus by what you're doing.
Yeah.
But like, I really don't care. Like at this point in my life, like I'm doing this to keep mobility and strength and everything. And
I won't lie, Reggie. I won't lie. Part of it for me too is with the chaos that's in the world and what's going on, I feel that I have to be at my physical best to protect my family.
I don't disagree with that, dude. I mean,
I will say that's probably 20% of the motivation is that I know that I live in a world that is wildly more out of control than it normally is. And at any given moment, something dumb could happen. I mean, look at what happened this weekend. The Jewish people murdered on the beach in Australia. Somebody fired and shot a bunch of people at Brown.
2 of them.
What am the world I'm facing now? If I want to be really what I need to be, which is a protector of my family, I have to be physically at my best to do it. And that's a lot of my motivation. I don't care what I look like in a t-shirt or what. None of that matters. I just want to be the best version of myself so that I could be the best protector, husband, friend, back partner that I can be, right? Because without my health, I can't do any of that. And it's, I'm not 20 anymore, dude.
That's what I mean. Yeah. But that's where I'm going with this, right? So like the heroes I had growing up when I got into lifting, looking at all that stuff, it's just not the same. Like I don't really care how much weight I'm throwing up on the freaking thing. I mean, I really don't. That's not like I'm not having an ego trip when I'm at the no. It's really just about what I'm going to be able to do, how not to hurt myself.
Yeah.
And then making sure I am pushing at least what I can without hurting myself, right? Don't care about anything else. I'm just really optimizing and being efficient in the gym as much as I can. And that's it. Don't care. Right.
Yeah.
And it's a totally different thing and again, idolizing people is in having your heroes and especially in the gym type of thing is cool and all. But I just wanted to make that point. Like when we're talking about heroes here and what that is and why we're hungry for it and the psychology behind it and the biblical stuff, we got to remember that physically some people are engineered to be that way.
Yeah.
And they don't not they don't have to put work into it. That's not true at all. But whether it be athletes or whether it be like fitness people or bodybuilders.
And a lot of it is how you wire yourself when you're younger, how you wire your nervous system too. Like a lot of people, they don't really start to wire that into their nervous system till they're in their 20s and 30s. Well, that's a little bit late. You look at some of the best physiques out there, the Ronnie Colemans and the Dorian Yates and all those guys, they started lifting when they were like 12, 13 years old. Like it wasn't they did that very early in life. For me, I started lifting when I was 14. So I kind of wired myself for it. And every time I would get away from it, I would find it real easy to get back to it. Right. So, but I do agree. Genetics are a huge part of what that is.
And I mean, I am actually pretty happy with my return back to the weight room. Has not been as traumatic as I thought it might be, and I was pushing more weight than I thought.
May I ask a question? Why did you think it would be traumatic?
Because I remember when I first started weightlifting. Yeah. Right. And just the immense amount of muscle pain that caused when I started going back to the gym. Right.
Yeah, that's true.
It was mean. I mean, you had to mentally defeat I don't care how much I hurt, I'm going back to the gym.
Yeah.
Because it was real bad when I first started.
Oh yeah. I tell people all the time. They'll go, don't you wait till you're not sore? No, I'd be a week before I started working out again.
Well, I wasn't mobile. Well, I shouldn't say that. I was in my 20s. So, sort of kind of busy and stuff, but I was not really focused on mobility and thinking about all this stuff. But now I'm like, okay, it's the day after the gym. I got to do something here. I got to do this. So, I'm more focused on the recovery part than I was. I wish I would have been that way in my 20s. I probably would have been a hell of a lot better off than that. Anyway, so we're talking about heroes, man. We tried to do this last week. My apologies for the technical difficulty. We had to scrap it because the memory card just
ran out.
Well, not just ran out. It like freaking, I don't know. I don't even know what you call it.
It went spastaholic.
whatever, it was like half the freaking episode was just gone.
Yeah.
Okay. So here we are doing it again. So we're missing a week. My bad. With
all
all
right.
this stuff. So there's a couple different things to talk about with heroes here that I think is really important. We'll talk about it from a secular perspective and how that is in the secular world and what they think it is. Talk about it from a psychology perspective,
The culture perspective.
and biblical perspective about heroes and stuff and why we need them.
Yeah.
So Brian, I'm going to ask you a question. What about some personal heroes, either young or old or now, whatever, that you might have?
Current heroes?
Sure.
Wow, that's a good question. A lot of my current heroes have passed, man. I mean, Vadi was a personal hero of mine. I had such a great admiration for the power that he approached the truth of the scripture with that he blew me away every time I heard him speak, even if it was on something I thought I might not be interested in. I have some guys that I really like. Jim Bergen, I know him personally. Haven't seen him in a long time, but he's a great example of just honesty in the biblical sense. Like when he preaches, he's just going to put it on the table, right? That's something I admire about a lot of preachers. Just put it on the table, man. If you're preaching the truth, it doesn't matter. Put the truth on the table and let people deal with the truth, right? And I feel like, as far as fitness heroes goes, honestly, I'm a big fan of Joe Rogan because at 57 years old, he is functionally probably one of the most fit human beings in entertainment. And he's very focused and very determined. He has a very hard will about being able to do that. And he's very health conscious in what he puts in his body. And that to me is very cool.
About Joe Rogan. This was the one thing I wanted to mention today about fitness and stuff too. I was going to bring up Joe.
Yeah.
How you eat's important. Okay.
Yes.
So I watched this episode where they were talking about creatine and I forgot who it was now. Joe was talking to whatever his name is. I'm sorry about not remembering
It's
that.
Brigham Bueller. That's the episode.
Is that it?
Yeah.
And so Brigham Bueller sitting there talking to him about like how creatine and you got, how the benefits of it are. Yeah. And of course, Joe knows all this. And they get on the topic of like how much protein he eats, right? So Joe says, well, how do I eat it? Like I'm mostly carnivore. I don't really eat that much. And he goes on and I'm really skipping over this interview a little bit, but he's like, yeah, on every Sunday, I pull out the elk meat from my freezer and I put it on the Traeger and then I cut it up and I put it in portions. And I probably eat a pound or two of that in a breakfast in the morning and throughout the day and everything. And the guy was like, I loved it because he kind of almost called out Joe from being a bougie, rich guy.
Bougie rich eater.
Eating freaking elk, every morning and 1 or 2 pounds of it.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. But anyway, I thought it was just hilarious. But creatine's important, by the way. It has a lot of benefits. I'm not going to get into that here. I think
it's especially, we used to think that creatine was we used to think that creatine's benefits were pre-workout, prepping through workout. Now we understand that it has more of a recovery benefit than it really has. It still has some benefit for during workout, but I personally put creatine in my shake after my workout because it helps with recovery, right?
Yeah. And the cognitive, they're really there's some new research that shows that
showing it has
these
very
older,
positive effects on people who have
one of the
Alzheimer's.
One of the examples was like an in her 80s was like this woman who had dementia or something, and she was taking 25 grams of creatine a day, and it was like amazing what it was doing.
Yeah.
Anyway, so getting back to heroes, I kind of tried to throw you a lob here, a softball here. And
why?
And you whiffed.
I didn't whiff.
You didn't whiff it. Actually, you didn't say anything wrong. I was hoping for the response of, well, I'm a Christian, Reggie. My one hero that I look up to more than anybody is Jesus Christ.
Well, let's put it this way. That should not have to be said.
It does have to be said, though, which is why this episode is happening.
I don't, and I'll be honest with you, I don't see Jesus as a hero.
I see anime Jesus, version of Jesus. Everyone is Jiro.
It's the anime version. Jirosus.
I'm sure we're gonna be shot like by lightning at any moment now.
But I don't really consider him a hero. because
he far exceeds the definition.
He far exceeds the definition.
I get what you're
he
saying.
saved my life, right? Like he's not. He literally is my savior. Like I don't get to have heroes unless he did what he did, right?
Dude,
So
I mean, I
have biblical heroes like
sure.
Samson, Moses. David was heroic at times, even though he was dastardly at times as well. So, how about yourself? Who are current heroes for Reginald? Current heroes. You better not say Paul Rubens. I'm sorry. I just want to see what your face would do when I said that. He's dead. He can't be a hero. Actually, can he? Can you have a dead hero? I think so.
Well, you can look up to people in the past. I mean,
that's true. Anyway, you're a personal hero.
I really don't, and I'll be honest. I don't have heroes. I really don't have heroes. I'm not trying to imitate anybody. I don't look at anybody. And I'll say that I look at characteristics from some individuals as like, that's a good quality to have. I'm glad they display that, but like I do not idolize or anything like that anymore.
Well,
I used to.
I don't really. I know. Idolize anybody.
I'm not saying that really. What I'm saying is those like I'm at the. It's weird. I was thinking about this when we were doing this. When I was doing this episode, like I look at guys like Samson in the Bible and think, hey, that dude was on it about some things. But as I got older, then it's like I really don't want to be Samson because of all the nonsense he did and like the perpetual rebellion and all this other stuff. So like even the biblical heroes that I look at, like great faith from Abraham, some of the crap he did, and Joshua and David and Joseph and Daniel, and I mean all these guys, like they're human beings, and like it just they will let you down. That's why they're there for examples, and they show exemplary qualities about some things, and you should look to them for what they're made, because they were put on this earth for that purpose, to be something to like look to for characteristics of
something
great things.
Something to put on earth to be guides.
Yeah. So, but I've been trying so hard to focus on Christ. Like that is who I'm trying to imitate, who I'm trying to be like, who I'm trying to do everything by. Like that takes so much effort for me. Like I don't have room for another person to sit in there and do that. However, that is to say though, like, I can't remember. I'll be honest with you. I can't remember who it was. There was a influencer or a famous person. They were like in their 50s, almost our age or whatever. And they had young kids like I do. And they were, fit and like really able to go around, do stuff and everything else. And I said, you know what? That's kind of on one of the triggers that led me to, I need to start making some changes in order to be around for my girls better, and be able to do things.
I would say I probably want to be more of a hero to my family than I want heroes.
There you go. I think that's what I'm trying to fulfill. I'm trying to be the person who's imitated, right? The exemplar here of like manhood and fatherhood and, being a husband, because my girls are watching all the time, man. And that's just what I'm focused on. Like I look at all the other guys and stuff, and not that I don't, there's some old guys at church that I really admire. And I think they got it going on. They're faithful and everything else. And I think that's cool. But, I look around, and if you try to look for fictional stuff or whatever, I mean, it's just, I'm so focused on Christ, man. That's just where I'm at with heroes.
Yeah. I agree.
I mean, but the world though gets, they get this a little twisted, cause, and I think let's go back to here. When we were kids though, right? Playing with G.I. Joes, Transformers.
Yeah. Batman, Superman.
We had comics and the stuff like that. The comic book movies weren't a thing.
Well, they were, but they were super cheesy.
Well, they were the TV shows, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you had Batman.
And Captain America had like a movie back in the early 80s, but it was covered in cheese. Like it was cheese.
So the point is, though, as we grow up, it was like comic books,
Yeah, comic books, cartoons. Thundar the Barbarian. Remember?
Wow.
Like I liked Thundar.
Wow.
Like I thought he was cool. He-Man.
He-Man.
By the power of Grayskull. I have the power.
I admired G.I. Joe, Duke and G.I. Joe and stuff. And
Mask.
Oh, yeah, Mask was awesome. Bro.
That was cool.
That was so cool.
Yeah.
Transformers, it's like, oh, man, that'd be awesome to be a Transformer and do all this stuff, And so we're sitting there they were the heroes of our early age.
Yeah.
And then, I didn't understand how much my dad and like my grandpa and my uncles were heroes, even though I didn't even think of them that way. But they ended up being the examples that I followed. Mm-hmm. It wasn't the car. I mean, sure, I learned a lot about character from these cartoon characters and stuff, but the personal family I had was more of an exemplar than any other thing that I had.
Yeah. I was not that fortunate.
I know you weren't. I know.
I had some pretty big yahoos in my family, and
but I mean that does change from when we're childhood heroes, right? I mean, because it's like, what when we're in our childhood, what makes them a hero versus now? It's a different thing.
I think when they're childhood, we are more geared towards the fantastic, like a transformer, right? Like I'm a robot that's going to turn into a semi truck, right? Like that's to me a little more pointed towards the fantastic. I think as adults, where we begin to carve that path in our life, we're starved for examples, right? Examples of, well, I really want to be good at this. So I want to find examples of people who are good at this. And then I don't want to say they become idols, but we heroicize traits of what they're doing so that we can pour it into us and well, look what I can do. He does this, right? So I think as adults, we look for more purpose-driven examples so that we feel like we're stronger adults as opposed to kids. The world was our oyster, right? We just, everybody wanted to be, Snake Eyes from G.I. Joe when they were a kid, but how many blind, non-speaking ninjas do you know? Like,
that's true. But I mean, psychology tells us we need heroes. I mean, that's the thing. But even when we're kids and stuff, because we're not really just looking for heroes as like this shining bright light that we point to and say, oh man, they're awesome. But it's also how we imitate the skill sets and even character traits and attitudes and how they handle conflicts and stuff are all stuff we copy from who we quote unquote heroize, right? Yeah. And and we need that because another part of psychology also says that we look to these heroes as hope. They give us hope. Yeah. In situations.
Well, and it can be reversed too. Like a lot of the people that I know, their heroes idolize what they're chasing. So if someone's chasing money, a lot of times they'll have bad idols, bad heroes in their lives, right? Like, so I'm also very careful as to what my hero is, who are the people I admire are attached to and how they perform at what they are attached to, because that sometimes will disqualify somebody, right? Like, you can't be somebody that I'm crafting myself to use part of what you do for what I do because it's attached to something wrong. So,
yeah. Well, anyway, there's some cultural level stuff with heroes, like it sets the example for the cultural icon, so and gives the culture as a whole kind of a pinned point to kind of say base everything, based on that. That's important. One of the interesting things I found though was the parasocial relationships that people form with influencers or famous people or whatever, because it's like a one-sided thing.
Yeah, like they don't know you're there, but they're there.
But you feel like you know them.
Yeah.
I mean, it was what's interesting. I remember, not that I really felt sort of this way, but like I really felt like I knew the characters from Stargate SG-1 because I watched and a binge to watch, like all of it. Like
That's a lot of episodes.
all of it.
That's a lot of episodes.
Yeah. And I like didn't like not one sitting, but like, you know, when I'd come home from work or whatever, I had time, that's what I was doing. I was watching Stargate SG-1.
Yeah.
When I wasn't playing a, you know, rehearsal, whatever. My free time outside of rehearsals and work or whatever it was, watching Stargate SG-1. That's what I did. And so it was like, I mean, you know, so there's sometimes where I had a whole weekend finally by myself. A freaking SG-1. It was SG, Stargate. And I watched all of it. And it was so much that I would like wake up where I thought I was, you know, I was like dreaming Stargate, you know, it was weird. So anyway, not that I had a parasocial relationship, but I really thought like I knew these characters. Like it was that much. Anyway, so like we talked about, there's cultural billboards that we have for the heroes. There's a certain amount of control and safety heroes give the culture and our people that are in the culture. But I'll also say that there's some danger, especially when the heroes fall, because they all do, because we're all human. That tends to create a rift and kind of some tension in the environment when that stuff happens. But I think the important thing here, though, even from a psychological point, you can say we're wired to worship and follow people. And I shouldn't say people. We're worship and follow, period.
Yeah.
And it's who you worship and follow that is determined. It's not like do you, it's who you do.
Yeah.
Period.
What do you spend your time worshiping?
Yes. And I mean, that's echoed in 1 Corinthians 11, Philippians 3, Hebrews 13, if you want to look at all that stuff up. But so look, I want to get into real quick, worldly versus Christ-like heroes, man, as a definition. So what you got for me?
I would say a worldly hero is someone who is driven in purpose by either selfish means, or they might have, you know, selfless means, but it's not spiritually driven. A lot of times it's, you know, this guy can kick this guy's butt, and like nothing that really at the end of the day, I mean, is it going to matter? I think spiritual heroes, I think, are based on examples already lived. And I don't mean people of the past. I think spiritual heroes, like you said, there's older people in the church that I really admire. You've lived your faith.
Yeah. I mean,
Like
you can see
through
it.
decades, you've lived your faith and you still live your faith. Or I, you know, a lot of times I admire, you know, when young people catch on and they become very spiritually on fire. You know, or you can go to the traditional biblical heroes, the Samsons, the Moseses, the Abrahams, the Davids, the Lukes, the Matthews, the Marks, whatever you want to, whoever you admire from the biblical text, right? So, or again, Jesus, God. It's kind of hard to call God heroic in the sense because he does make everything.
Well, I think you're on to something a little bit here. It's the motivation behind what happens is a real determining factor between what the world calls a hero and what a Christ-like person would call a hero. I mean, like, you know, confronting evil or suffering and even at the peril of your own self would be kind of globally assumed as a hero. But like the world would kind of, if it was a worldly thing, it would be more for their own glory or their, you know, it's not centered around the glorification of Christ or around that. Rather than you can attack and be a combatant against evil and suffering at your own peril for the glory of God.
Yes. Agreed.
I mean, you know, so the motivations become different. I mean, I would look at it like this: a Christ-like hero shouldn't just be an imitator of what Christ is, but also like you feel like you want to follow Christ because of this person.
He should also be a purveyor of what Christ does. He should be living the example.
Yeah. I mean, like you don't want to follow that guy.
Yeah.
You want to follow who he's following, right?
Yeah.
Like you see that where this imitator of Christ is giving the glory, not to himself. He's pushing it off. Like then it makes you want to go find out who this is.
Philippians 3:17. Keep your eyes on those who walk according to our example. Right.
Yes.
So it's that, I think that part of the problem we have now, and it is currently part of the problem and will remain part of the problem is, and I don't mean to kind of skew things, but the epidemic of mental illness that we have going on right now has a lot to do with people's misconception of what heroic people are, what heroicism is. I think it skews that, and I think that's why you see a lot of the current wackadoo left idolizing some of the people that they do. They're not really heroes, but they're pandering to what they want to be their reality, right? So I think you got to be careful, right? I can't be Captain America. I love Captain America. He's my favorite superhero of all time, but I can't be Captain America. So I may idolize things, or I may adapt things from him, like honesty, forthrightness, but I'm not going to go buy a, adamantium shield and start winging it at people, because I'm probably going to go to jail. So, but I think that's part of it, is this whole, we have this skewed relationship with reality, and unfortunately that causes a lot of problems, and it's just, to me, it seems like it's getting worse. So, but anyway, I just kind of had to
we're in the age of influencers, man. I mean, like we're they're more popular than sometimes the movie stars or the musicians and anything else, man. I mean, you got influencers out there that have so many followers. They're
absolutely.
They are the key thing now anymore. But the point being is that the difference between these things, like if we think about it, and I broke it down in the notes here, Brian, like if you look at source of power from a worldly hero, it's all about their talent, their charisma, their platform, their money, their body. But for a Christ-like one, that'd be like, it's God's strength in my weakness. In other words, I'm dependent on the Holy Spirit. It's totally placing the emphasis on power to not you, but from this otherworldly place where the being that created the whole universe in you itself is your conduit to strength and
it's
power.
A channel for your strength, right? That leads me to another question. Does being heroic necessarily always mean being correct? This was a conversation I was having with one of my sons the other day. Does being a hero equate to always being correct?
It depends on what side of the fence you're on.
Okay. Explain.
So let's say you're in a war zone. Okay.
War zone.
And you're
bombs dropping, boom, booms.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
You got enemy combatants, right? And that one enemy combatant just killed your buddy right over here. Okay. You shoot and wound that guy. Somebody else is going to go for that kill or whatever. You're trying to put that dude down. One of their guys who's injured pulls that guy out to safety. You're mad. You're trying to go after that guy. I think maybe you could be. I'm just put this, but that guy that saved him could be considered a hero on the other side.
That's true. In his cause, he could be considered a hero.
Okay. Now, if we're talking more globally about like, can a cartoon, let's talk about like a fictional thing. Like you see a movie, right? And it's a hero in a movie.
Yes.
I think that when the general, I think heroism from a worldly standpoint, when they start losing their, when the culture starts thinking they're wrong, they've lost their hero status at that point, right? But from a biblical perspective, from a biblical hero perspective, you're not going to be, you're either aligned with Scripture and with God, or you're not.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't be a hero unless you are, biblically speaking.
Fair enough.
So
I think that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah. I mean, the world can kind of twist that all around, though. I mean, I think you could necessarily be there. All right. So anyway, what's the goal of a worldly hero versus a Christ-like hero?
A goal of a worldly hero is to win over the world, right? I'm going to be a hero to the world. The world's the devil's playground and it's garbage.
It's self.
Yeah. The goal of a Christ-like hero or a sacrificial, spiritual hero is to show the examples of what sacrifice, peace, patience, love, kindness, all those things are. That's a biblical hero. A worldly hero is easy to spot. Bring it to me, it's mine. Oh yes, I did these things for you, but I deserve my spoils and my, where a biblical hero, which, I had an interesting conversation with my father about the gospel, and biblical heroes are not looking for self-glorification. They're looking for the glorification of Christ. They're looking for the glorification of the kingdom. They're looking for the glorification of the church, the bride of Christ. That's what they're after, right? So I think that be selfless versus selfish would be the two different definitions.
Yeah. I mean, it's very much centered around the person rather than not. I mean, it's like you're focused on yourself as far as fame or money or influencers or watchers or viewers or whatever. The other way is you're trying to point everything back to the cross. Right.
And I think a good question would be, and it's in this outline, I think is a good way to look at it, is ask yourself, if a friend has been watching you for the last 30 days, day in and day out, what would they say you're chasing? Are you chasing selflessness and a biblical? And I will openly admit that there are moments where it would probably not seem to be what I'm chasing. We all have those moments, but
yeah. Okay. Here's the question though, dude. Like there's going to be times where they look the same. I mean,
yeah.
Because but getting back to the fitness thing, I mean, like if you're in there busting your butt at the gym, you may be doing that as not just to be more healthy and, take care of the temple of God that he gives you, but you do want to look better. You do want to feel better. You do want to do other stuff. So it's like, there's two ways there, not there's not only just one, I guess.
Well, I think
you can do both.
I think there are blessings that can come along with heroic acts. Like, when you go pray for somebody, God may bless you for your effort. If you go and you do something for your neighbor, you may receive blessings in accordance, right? But it's the same with the gym. Like you talked about earlier, it's the side effect, right? I don't go to the gym wanting to have a strong, like big squared up build, but that might be a side effect of doing that work. That's a blessing to me that I've been allowed to have better shape and better form and things like that. So it's very, it can be both. You can have a benefit from being selfless. You just shouldn't expect a benefit from being selfless. So,
well, that's kind of where I was at, right?
Yeah.
It's like you may have a goal, and this is also, I think, just fine. Again, you may say, well, my goal is to lose this much body fat. I want to do this or that. I want to be able to wear a sleeveless shirt and not feel bad, kind of thing. Hey, you can have those goals. That's not still interfering with your alignment to what you're glorifying God by doing. Mm-hmm. Okay, you're just putting your own stamp on it a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Like a football player or a basketball player or something could be like, I want to earn, I'm going to do this many touchdowns this year or this many.
Or I have a bonus in my contract and I'm going to do the thing that gets me that bonus. Or
bust my balls and get to where I need to go. I mean, it's where you think and how you glorify God for it, right?
Yeah.
Speaking of that though, too, we got to talk about like how heroes aren't just the famous people. They're not just the biblical characters we know from Old and New Testament. There's a lot of heroes that the world won't acknowledge and may never even see. You know, and I look at this
correct.
And I look at this as like a vast number of first responders and military people. Like there's a ton of those people who will never be acknowledged by the world as being a hero, but yet they've done heroic things. There's single moms who have just busted their butt in order to take care of their kids and make sure they're healthy and
Single
fed.
dads that have sacrificed everything that they have to sacrifice in order to raise their kids, right?
Yeah, I mean, just or just dads in general who have just chosen to be there for their family. They've not just run off and done, you know, the career and made all this and do this. They've actually shown up for their family.
Well, you know, I in the last time we tried to record this episode, I used this example, but I just feel like it's a really good example. You know, we talk about Billy Graham, and we all look at Billy Graham as this just this epic pillar of the gospel, and what we all want to hear. But it was actually David Bruce, which was Billy Graham's childhood friend, who they were together from the time it began. And David Bruce coordinated his schedule. He was the key executive assistant for 40 years. He managed his crusades. He was his right-hand man. He basically made everything possible for Billy Graham to walk out on stage on these crusades and preach the gospel. He's a hero. Nobody knew who he was. If I would have asked you to tell me who David Bruce was, you probably would have been like, I don't know. But David Bruce was if there was no David Bruce, there probably wouldn't have been as much of an impact from a Billy Graham, because God puts people in our lives, right? We have heroes put in our lives every day. God puts people in our lives every day in order to give us people to look, not necessarily look up to, but the people to lean on.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, he's a great example, you know, of what it is to be heroic without recognition.
But I think also too, this actually goes into the differences between who, and kind of some angles to who, because honestly, there's a vast number of people who would actually be vehemently against Billy Graham and call him not a hero at all.
Yeah.
Right. And this is where things get a little dicey because I want to point it out too. There are some people that we could probably globally agree on, but like, looking at like a Taylor Swift and saying that that's a hero, which is this world does.
Yeah. She has a cult level following in this world.
That is not somebody I would call anybody who need to be imitated.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's characteristics that I don't deny. Like, I guess her charisma and like how she performs and got to where she is, but at the same token, her messages and how things go sometimes, those are not okay.
Yeah, some of the things that she writes songs about.
No,
especially young girls don't need that in their head.
Beyonce, same thing. Like another one. No, don't be like her.
No, don't be.
It's another one. Any movie star, almost. I mean, we talked about Alan Richardson. I mean, that's there. Look, not that he's a bad dude or anything, but I mean, that's not. He's not like a hero for me.
Yeah.
I don't know the guy. You know, it's like I don't want to label that as like, oh, you shouldn't.
Well, he's a Christian, which I admire.
I thought but
he's very open about his faith. He's very open about his marriage and having a good marriage and a Christian marriage. And I think he's a great example of someone who's in the spotlight, who's not letting it decide the direction of his morals.
I just didn't know all that.
I don't know if anything's changed. I studied the guy for like a week and just read about him, and but I mean,
Sylvester Stallone and like some of our guys that we like a lot, like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone and Bruce Willis, who I don't know how long Bruce is going to be around because I mean that guy's got some serious.
Well, he can't talk, can't communicate. Like he was, it's funny because I can say that in the fitness realm, Schwarzenegger was a hero of mine until during COVID, he had some very unfreedom-like things to say.
That was dumb.
And I was like, well,
That was dumb.
I was like, you're crossing the line, man. Just shut up. And here's my problem, Reggie, with people in Hollywood and all that. Just shut up and entertain me. I don't care about your political views. I don't care what your charities are. I don't care I don't care what country you want to go and like heal lepers in. You're on TV. You don't cure cancer. You don't help the homeless population because the homeless population can't afford to come see your movies.
Well,
you don't.
Saying.
There's a young starlet, we'll call her, who's been in a lot of movies, who came out and said that socialism sounds like a beautiful idea. But I don't actually think she believes it. I think she sees all of the other people coming out and making that statement. And now she wants some of that spotlight. So she came out and made this impossibly ignorant statement. Now not only will I never support her in any way. I won't go see any movie she's in. I won't support anything she does because she's insane.
Yeah.
And that's not okay.
But going to this though, it is not okay how the world handled Corey Comporator.
Not at all. Corey Comporator did the most heroic thing a human man can do, and that is shield his family at the cost of his own life.
Dude.
And here's another one that bothers me. There's a senator, a Democratic senator, who during a congressional hearing with Kristi Noem called the intentional shooting in the head of a National Guardsman a tragic accident. When a man stands up and yells Allah Akbar and begins to fire a gun directly in the direction of those two military people, that is not an accident. That's an act of terrorism. So again, you're killing me.
But you said it. Corey Comporator did what every man
is called to do.
He fulfilled that thing. He stood in the way between danger and his family.
And lost his life.
And then glassed over.
Then was crapped on by the Democratic Party because they said it was a tragic accident, but in the long and short of it, it wasn't that much loss. Shut up. That is an example that every man needs to go out there and live. Protect your family. Here you go, Reggie. Not only protect my family, but if I'm in a situation and your children are in danger, I'm going to protect them too. That's
what you do, man.
If we are truly Christians and brothers in Christ, we protect each other's own as well as ours.
We do. But I mean, but this, what my point here is that here's your models. Okay. You got Corey over here who sacrificed for his family and did what any man is, if you're challenged to do so. I mean, that's all you fulfilled that. I think it should be held up as true heroism. And then you have people that the left hands up as heroes, like, who am I going to say right now?
Oh my God! Would you like the list?
I know. Dylan. Let's just go with Dylan Mulvaney, who was on how many daggone magazine covers was that stupid?
Had her own Budweiser can.
But come on, that's who they raised up as a hero.
Yeah. Let's talk about a hero that happened yesterday. Let's talk about the guy at Brown University that took the gun, took a shot in the shoulder and a shot in the leg, and still took the shotgun from one of the shooters and ended what was going on. Hero? Absolutely. How many lives did he save? Right? And he was just some old dude that was like, nope, not going to let this go on. Right?
Hero.
So, sorry, Dylan Mulvaney makes my skin crawl.
It does, but my point being is that there is a clear delineation between the truth of reality that is the perspective of the right and the false utopia nonsense you can see on the left. It drives me nuts. And no, I am not going to be a middle of the ground person. I am not. I'm done with that. After the assassination of Charlie Kirk and everything else, I'm done.
Yeah, we're
done. Gloves are off.
We're finished.
Sorry.
You know, I told my wife the other day. She's like, so how? How are you going to? What's the little while? She's like, how are you going to approach it now? And I was like, I'm like, gloves are off.
Look, but that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Left pulls up and puts up some trainee that's got a mental health problem as a hero. The right puts up a guy who actually put his life and gave his life for his family by shielding them from danger.
Yeah.
Which one of those am I going to pick as a man?
I'm going to pick Corey Comparator every day.
If you don't pick that, you are not a man.
Yeah. You're not a human, I don't think.
Anyway, I'm
crazy. But anyway.
It drives me nuts. Anyway, look. Culture now calls all these there's all kinds of examples of people. And you can see some of these people that were hailed as like heroic, like these the real fat chicks and stuff who came out and was like, don't fat shame and all this kind of stuff. But now they're on Ozempic or whatever, and they're like all skinny and they like take down all their fat photos and stuff, and they're doing all that. Yeah, that's your hero. No one thought that, by the way. No real sane person ever looked at some 400-pound chick and said, oh, that's healthy. No one.
No one said, ooh, I want to gain 100, 250 pounds and be just like her. Or him, for that matter. Like it's like, I don't know, man. There's such a skewed view of things.
This is why I'm just saying you can't let the culture sit there, hand you a list of heroes and say, here's your heroes. You cannot do that.
Yeah.
Because the world is going to lead you astray every single flipping time, and it's going to be some nonsense, insane stuff.
And how many heroes have fallen? How many worldly heroes have come out and they were, looking at this and doing this and taking this, and dude, they're going to fail you.
You got to ask these questions, dude. Does the person help me imitate Christ?
Yep.
Are they walking in sacrificial love, obedience, and truth? Are they looking at Jesus as the way, the truth, and the life? And I can find him easier with him around.
Yeah.
Or her.
Or I can find them in him when I'm in their presence, right?
So anyway, that's
Anyway.
Yeah. So one of my I want to talk about biblical heroes real quick because you mentioned him already, but Samson was one of them. When I was younger. It was the one guy who I picked out because if he was just this big guy,
yeah,
he's a badass walking around just beating the crap out of people.
Think about it.
With a jawbone.
Heroic, strong, fallible because he fell to sin. He fell to sin. He fell to the devil, which was Delilah. Recovered. Became a judge. Like he's the perfect example of I'm a hero, but I got a soft spot and I got hit in it, but I didn't lay down. I got up and I kept fighting to be heroic, right? That's why I love Samson is, he just, he's blind. Like I know. Like what else could happen to the dude for him to still become a judge, to still be Samson, he tore down the walls of Jericho.
No, he didn't do that.
No, sorry. The gates. Sorry. I got them mixed up.
No,
the gates.
but anyway.
Didn't he carry the gates around? I think a little bit. No, I don't remember.
I just know he's just,
he's big stud muffin.
Dude was like, what was 1,000 men with a jawbone, What's what it says?
I wonder what it was a jawbone from.
Yak.
A yak jawbone.
No. Yak.
Which was the noise it made as he thumped him in the head.
Yeah. Anyway, so look, but here's the deal, right? We all have personal heroes. We all have biblical heroes. All these things, but as a Christian, Christ is the one to be imitated. You should look at other men or women and say these are biblical. They are living out the example of what it means to be a Christ follower. I'm not saying you shouldn't do that, but Christ has got to be your ultimate guy you go to. And
remember, guys, you're surrounded by heroes every day.
That's
like you got firefighters, police, military, 911 operators, teachers, EMTs. Like, you have heroes every day, right? You have heroes every day. And if you follow those heroes, those are true heroes, people who are sacrificial. You're far more likely to find your way to that Christ-like heroicism in your life, right?
How do we get there? How do we become a hero? That's the question.
Yeah.
I'll give you one. You turned fear into courage. Joshua 1:9, if you want to look that up.
Well, and you also need to realize that fear is not, or courage is not the absence of fear. It's to overcoming fear and doing it regardless, right? So a lot of people, I hear this a lot, is I'm really afraid. And well, yeah, we're all afraid of something, but it's how we handle that fear. Like, I'm afraid of spiders. I still murder them. But
you turn pride into humility.
That's right.
And service.
That's right.
You turn comfort into willingness to be inconvenienced for other people.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how you can be a hero today.
Yep.
And look, here's the thing. It doesn't have to be something big. It doesn't mean you got to go stop an out of control bus from crashing and saving kids. That's not the only way you can become a hero. You can make a choice at any given moment to start being heroic by being courageous, having humility, and serving other people. And the more you make that choice, the more heroic you demonstrate. And the more you show people who Christ is from your sacrificial love and your just willingness to go be above and beyond.
No one in this world has ever died from sacrificing for someone in their life.
I don't know if that's necessarily true, but
I'm talking about day-to-day sacrifice. I'm not talking about like, hey, I'm going to jump in front of that train. Okay, so somebody died. But I'm talking about day-to-day in your life, walking around, being aware of the people that are around you. You know, if anything, give them energy, attention, give them an ear to listen, right? A lot of people, that's a hero to them, is somebody who's just a good listener, right? I mean, I can tell you how many people I've sat down with in conversations, and these are hard conversations I've had, and I hope one day I get to run into the people watching this, because I love hard conversations, because I feel like that they really break ground. And I can't tell you how many people that have been completely on the opposite side of me, and they didn't like my views and they didn't like my faith, but at the end of the conversation, they were like, "Thank you for being a good listener." Like, I just sit and listen. I'm like, tell me why you believe what you believe, right? I'm not going to promise you I'll agree with you, but I'd love to hear your story and listen to them tell me, these are all the experiences I've had that have led me down that way. And something else I've known is anytime I've ever asked to pray for somebody after we've had a conversation, they've never said no. Because I think once they know my motivations, they know that I'm not doing anything out of pride or show. I truly have a heart for their safety and security and salvation, and I want to pray something into their existence other than this horrifying world, right? So,
but all that said, and you're saying it's not the big moments. Mm-mm. It's not the big, saving, burning buildings or whatever. It can be, but that's not all. Mm-hmm. It's all these little choices you make.
1% is the big moments, and the 99% are the little ones.
So we're not saying. Here's what we're not saying. We're not saying be your own hero.
Yeah,
that's not it. We're saying follow the hero that already won the battle you couldn't.
A better way to say it would be, when you have a chance to be a hero, pay it forward for the blessings that you've had for the heroes in your life.
Sure. But I would just ask people to take a look at your hero list. If you look at admire people and all that kind of stuff, I know for me, that's what kind of led me to just say, nope, it's just Jesus. But I'm not saying that's the only way, but that's your most important.
Yeah.
But look at your heroes. Look at who you admire. Look at who you follow. Look at who you're listening to. I mean, do they help you follow Jesus easier? Are they imitating Christ or anything like that? Or are they doing the opposite? And if they are, get away.
Absolutely.
You know, and you know, look, everybody has some. Well, we are more secluded now than what we've ever been as a society.
More separated, yeah.
So you know, there used to not be, you know, there used to be. You could say, hey, I bet there's a hero in your life, but I mean, nowadays we're so secluded. People may not have any heroes in their lives, you know.
Probably not.
So, but yeah, that look, heroes are a thing, and they're not bad, and it's not like it's anything else, and it's things that society and culture does too. But they're going to put up who they think without. And I'll say this, if the culture of society is based on secularism, they're going to put up people who exemplify, you know, physical traits or money or fame or something like that. It's you know, it's going to be centered around the self. It's not going to be centered around the God who created the universe.
Well, that's true. And I'll offer everybody a chance to do something heroic. In the last 48 hours, 14 people have died for what I'm sure will come out to be some propaganda that was pumped into people's heads that caused them to do something violent.
No, we don't do that anything.
So what I would encourage the people who are watching our podcast and listening to it is pray for those 12 Jewish people that died on that beach and the 29 that were injured. Pray for those 2 college students at Brown that are dead. Pray for their families. Pray for their souls. Hope that they knew the Lord when they passed, right? Hope and pray that it wasn't a painful passing. And also pray a prayer of thanks for the heroes that helped in those things, the police officers in Australia that helped in that, and the man who helped disarm one of the gunmen at Brown. And pray for those people and be thankful for those heroes. That's where you're finding heroism right now. This world is literally on fire, and there are men who are willing to still run into it to save others with self-sacrificially. So there's your heroes.
You know, Saint Nick was a hero. The actual real Saint Nicholas.
Oh, I was about to say, he was going to say Santa Claus. I was like, Reggie, did you take too much medication?
It's not the real one. I mean, he literally, there was I forgot where it was now. One of the councils, he gets up, and the guy was speaking heretically, where he thought it was heretical. And he punched him right there. Didn't even wait. Got up, punched this dude for being heretical. So be a hero, punch a heretic. There you go.
There you go.
That's the real Saint Nick, by the way, not that make-believe Dutch guy.
I don't know if telling people to punch somebody is a good idea.
Don't tell them. There's a lot of heretics out there. You're saying
there's a whole lot out there.
Yeah,
you and I both know that. But all right.
We're on B Talks.
I'm Brian.
I'm Reggie.
See you guys.
Bye-bye.